Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to another Honkai Star Rail video. Alright, so I got another Pure Fiction video for you guys today, and recently Pure Fiction actually got reworked. Now it revolves around the grit mechanic and the grit value, so make sure you guys build your teams and play around this mechanic. Let me briefly go over the characters I used, as well as the buffs. For the first half, we have our traditional Acheron team, featuring Acheron, Welt as the Nihility character and secondary DPS. Welt is actually pretty good on the first half because, as you can see, the majority of the enemies have a weakness to imaginary, except for this particular mob, so he'll be really great for weakness breaking them. And I decided to run Bronya as a support, and then Robin as the second support. We went a full sustainless team on the first half. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of RNG involved when it comes to mob aggro, so this did take quite a few attempts to pull it off. For the second half, we have our Firefly team, featuring Firefly, the Harmony Trailblazer, Fugue, making her very first appearance in Pure Fiction, and Ruan Mei. Oh, and before I go any further and forget, the buff I used on the first half is the first one, Empty Air. This is really good, especially for this particular team, because the stacks that you get from this mechanic boost the skill and ultimate damage of all your characters, and Welt and Acheron both rely on their skill and ultimate for damage, as well as the fact that during the what is it called? Surging Grit phase, which is this gold icon here. During this mode, your skills actually do not consume skill points. So normally this team would not work because Welt and Bronya eat skill points like crazy, and you'll be at a net negative when it comes to skill point consumption. But thanks to this Surging Grit, you can actually spam Welt and Bronya's skill and Acheron's skill continuously without getting punished. So that's what makes this team so good on this particular half. As for the buff on the second half, we went with the last one, Hollow Hope. It's basically an increase to break damage, so it synergizes well with this team. Everyone on this team does break damage, as well as advancing forward your characters whenever they weakness break a target. Alright, well that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay and commentary as usual. Alright, so for the first half we have Robin's technique, Bronya's technique, Welt's technique, and we initiate the fight with Acheron's technique. Alright, so like I said, this particular first half has a lot of RNG, especially when it comes to mob aggro. Here we are actually just going to Bronya basic, because I did a few runs where I used Bronya's skill and advanced forward Acheron. The issue with that is I would run out of skill points before I got to Welt's turn, and he wouldn't be able to use his skill. Sometimes it would work out because my Bronya has hit her idol on 1, but that's also RNG involved, so I decided if I basic there, it would reduce the amount of RNG. And this team actually doesn't run into skill point issues after Bronya uses that initial basic attack. Because, like I said in previously, once you get into this Resurging Tide, or the whatever this grit mechanic is, when the bird turns golden, all your skills do not cost skill points. And that includes Bronya's advance forward as well. And you actually gain skill points because I have both Bronya and Robin on Bronya's light cone. So you actually end up not having any issues with skill points there. Alright, here we are going to advance forward Acheron. I was just checking to see if I could get away with using a basic attack, but I figured it's about the same action value on the bar, so we use the skill into the ultimate. Acheron's just going to attack the main target here because she can kill off the 2 side mobs as well. And here we're going to pop Welt's ultimate. It actually does a fair amount of damage. My Welt's not really built that well. 250k damage is not too bad on my Welt particularly. He doesn't even have like full max traces or like any particular best in slot DPS relics. In fact, once I get to his relics, you'll see how mediocre his relics actually are. Alright, here is the Acheron ult. A little over 2 million damage. As you can see here, we are max skill points. That's how well this team works on this particular half, because of the grit mechanic, or that specific grit buff mechanic. Alright, so the RNG here for, what do you call it, the mob aggro is pretty good. All our characters are fairly high HP, with the exception of maybe Robin, but the thing is, Robin is probably the, if not the tankiest, second tankiest on this particular team, next to Bronya, so I don't mind her getting hit. The squishiest is Welt and Acheron, obviously. Once either of those two die, the run's pretty much bricked. Alright, on to the last wave. Here we go. Here's Japard. I'm going to aim, I believe, yeah, that mob there for the weakness break into the ultimate. And this should kill off at least one, maybe two? Oh, it almost killed off, unfortunately. It wasn't quite enough damage. As I said earlier, my welt isn't exactly the best welt built for a DPS. Kill off those two mobs there. Now comes the RNG part whenever the mobs take their turn. Luckily, they're all hitting Bronya, and she managed to get her ultimate off. There's one hit on the welt. He's down to 50% HP. Here, we're going to skill with Robin to gain as much energy as possible. We always want Robin to have her ultimate whenever available. We pop the skill here. It was a little bit short, unfortunately, of killing off that mob. That would have been nice. It did. So we pop the ultimate there. Now I'm trying to get the grit value up to 100 here. I'm trying my best so we can get our characters advanced forward. So like I said, when you build your teams and play the new Pure Fiction mode, you want to play around this grit mechanic. It's essentially like a free Robin ultimate. And when you bring Robin, you get another advance forward, as you'll see later on here. So we all advance forward here. I don't pop Robin's ult immediately because I want to save it until the end of the cycle or near the end of the cycle. Okay, I'm going to use that into the Acheron ultimate. Fair amount of damage, 2 million again. Pretty solid. Here, we're just going to basic and hold on to the ultimate. It honestly doesn't matter which mob I hit here. Advance forward Acheron again. She's going to use the skill here. And then now we're going to use Robin's ultimate to advance everyone forward and not take any damage from those mobs that just spawned. As you can see, Welt is almost dead. So we want to take as many turns. Now is the time to be focusing all your damage and trying to actually kill Japard. Alright, here's another Acheron ult. This should do a fair amount since we're in the Surging Tide with a Robin ultimate. There's a bunch of damage. We're going to advance forward Acheron once again. Pop the Bronya ultimate. I decide to go for Japard, as there will be some splash damage regardless, and I don't think my skill was able to kill off any of the mobs regardless. We get very lucky here with the mob aggro RNG. Nobody died. Welt is on the verge of dying, and then Robin's also almost dead as well. There's another skill into Welt's skill into the ultimate to wipe out the two mobs to the side of Japard, or at least one of them, I guess. We're going to advance forward Acheron. We're going to kill off that mob, and then with this last ultimate from Acheron, buffed up by all the buffs from Robin, Bronya, the Surging Tide, we should finish off Japard. Boom, there you go. On to the second half, Ron May's technique into Trailblazer's technique, Fugue's technique, and then when we initiate the fight with Firefly's technique right into the behind of the deer. I did that intentionally. It was actually funny when I was recording this. I was like, that's a very interesting way to start the fight. Alright, so we actually buff up the Harmony Trailblazer instead of Firefly, because there are a few enemies on this particular half that are not weak to Imaginary, like those, I don't know what they're called, but they're like those Shanzo, like, what do you call it? I forgot, it's like, they're like infected with that disease from the Shanzo. But those Cannoneers, they're not weak to the Imaginary element. So we want the Harmony Trailblazer to be able to weakness break them. And Fugue allows you to do that with her skill. Versus Firefly, she can weakness break them regardless of the element. In fact, she can even implant the fire weakness, so she really doesn't need that. So instead, by buffing the Harmony Trailblazer, he will be able to weakness break any of the enemies, as well as regenerate more energy for his ultimate. Alright, there is the Resurging Tide buff for everyone. And like I said, this team and this second half is fairly, what do you call it, easy. Actually, I would even say brain dead. Even without sustaining, just due to all the weakness break, action delay, and another action delay from, like, Ron-Mei's ultimate, you essentially don't really need, like, a healer or any character to protect your team, because the enemies almost never get to take a turn. And this team is also fairly tanky, so if they do take a turn, the odds of your characters dying are almost slim to none. Firefly also has this like self-heal, so she can self-sustain as well. Alright, almost done with this first half. Only 4% left. Pop the... Oh, also, my Trailblazer, Harmony Trailblazer, is on Dance Dance Dance. That's why you'll see me use his ultimate on specific turns to advance forward my character. Like earlier, I did that to advance forward my Firefly. So yeah, it's a really nice gimmick or mechanic that you can use on the Harmony Trailblazer now that you have Fugue on your team. He's able to just regenerate his ultimate so often to a point that he becomes essentially like a really powerful dance abuser. We're gonna do it once again to advance everyone forward. You see how many times he's actually able to use his ultimate here, right? And advance everyone forward. And my dance on him isn't even fully maxed. It's like superimposition level 4. I wasn't fortunate enough to pull enough copies to max superimpose it. Alright, we gotta reapply the buff to the Harmony Trailblazer once again. Here we're gonna pop around May's ultimate. Firefly's gonna do Firefly things and weakness break here. Almost dead. Believe I used the ultimate here. I think I tried to advance forward my Firefly here. Apparently I didn't. Or even if I did, but it was a mistake. I just see a misplay right now. I should have ulted first and then used the skill. It's a little bit waste of energy. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, definitely should have ulted first before using the skill. As you can see, we're still technically on the first wave, or not first wave, first cycle. Now we're obviously on the second cycle, but we cleared through the first two waves without having to even use up a cycle, essentially. So we're looking in good shape. The deer here should not be an issue either, because he will pretty much indefinitely be weakness broken. Here we use this skill again. We got attacked there, unfortunately. Well, it's kind of inevitable because it's a bounce attack, so even if I picked a different target, it would have probably have a chance of hitting that counter-attacking branch. Here I'm deciding which mob to hit. I decided to just go for the one with the ice weakness and not weakness break anything. I want to save all the weakness bars for Firefly to break so she can get that reset and advance forward from the grit mechanic. Unfortunately, that weakness breaks a few of them. We can also just kill the mobs because like there's just so much damage, break damage coming in, that some of these mobs just get one-shotted regardless by the super break damage. Alright, Firefly has to go back in her combustion state, so we're going to do this. Immediately pop the ultimate and advance forward. About 1 million per pop here. It's not bad. It's not as much as my Acheron's ultimate on the first half, but she's able to do this way more frequently, basically every turn. Versus Acheron, unfortunately, has to wait until she gets those 9 Crimson Knot stacks. So that's the difference between these two teams. One of them is very burst dependent, and then the other one is just consistent damage overall, while having slightly better survivability due to how weakness break works in this game. Alright, there we go. Take your position. Gonna use the skill. Actually, I run into skill point issues here. We actually ran out of skill points, so we couldn't use Harmony Trailblazer's skill. But that's fine. He still has 2 turns of his, super break buff. And then Fugue is obviously going to be generating skill points along with Rame, and Firefly is going to do her own thing. I actually choose to hit that mob because I wanted to generate some energy from the counterattack onto Fugue, so she can get her ultimate up a little bit faster. Although the thing is, Fugue's, I don't have her on an energy regeneration route because Fugue's ultimate isn't like super important in most cases. Although in Pure Fiction it's actually pretty huge because it's essentially an AoE break that ignores all weakness. So maybe I should have swapped her to energy regeneration rope, particularly if I plan to use her in Pure Fiction. But normally, I think the extra break effect will benefit her more because you won't be relying on her ultimate to weakness break the enemies. Another attack from Fugue. Not quite enough energy. We even killed the mob there. She's like just a little bit short of having her ultimate. And we left the Surging Grit phase, but that doesn't really matter, honestly, because the boss is basically dead here. And there you go. A perfect clear on both sides. 80k. Alright, let me go over my characters and their gear real quick. Starting off with Acheron. These are her stats. Lycone is her signature Lycone at S1. Traces, all maxed out, but the basic. These are her relics. Running more of a, what do you call it, regular speed Acheron than slow base speed Acheron, like I normally do for the other game modes. Eidolon is at Eidolon 2. Alright, next is Welt. These are stats. I made him relatively fast. I say relatively, but he's 160. That's really fast for most people. Lycone is the sweaty Lycone at S3. These are his traces. Like I said earlier, they're not even maxed out. He's still missing the imaginary node, the attack damage node, and his two main damage dealing skills are not at level 10. These are his relics. Eidolons, he's at Eidolon 2. Alright, next is Bronya. These are her stats. Lycone is her signature Lycone at S1. These are her traces, definitely could use some more work. These are her relics. Eidolons, she's actually at Eidolon 3. Alright, next is Robin. These are her stats. Lycone is also Bronya's signature Lycone at S1, so it helped out quite a bit with the skill point generation. These are her traces. Definitely could put a little bit more work. In fact, I feel like I should probably max out Robin. I use her quite a bit in a lot of content nowadays. These are her relics. I'm always so greedy when it comes to farming trace material. I always want to wait until the double drop event. Eidolon, she's at Eidolon 0. Alright, on to the second team. We have Firefly here. Her stats. Lycone is on the fall of an Eon at S5. Traces all maxed but her basic. Relics. For Eidolons, she's at Eidolon 2. Alright, next is the Harmony Trailblazer. These are her stats. He lost a bit of break effect because I changed his Lycone to Dance Dance Dance, but as you saw earlier, the amount of energy regen he had and the ability for him to spam his ultimate made it quite worth it, in my opinion. These are his traces. Relics. Besides, he gets a little bit of the break effect back, thanks to Fugue using her skill on him, and not the entire amount he would have gotten from the Lycone I had on him previously. But still, obviously, a good decision to switch him to Dance Dance Dance. Eidolons, he's at Eidolon 6. Alright, and next is our new party member, Fugue. These are her stats. I only recently built her up, so she is not fully built up, and her stats are suboptimal, to say the least. I have her on the tutorial icon at S5, just so I have enough effect hit rate, because she does need 67% to guarantee the defense break on her skill. And like I said earlier, these are her traces. She's definitely not built up properly. In fact, she's missing an entire 10 speed from these trace nodes here and a bunch of break effect. So yeah, I would say she's about halfway built. These are her relics. As for Eidolon, she's at Eidolon 0. Alright, last and definitely not least is Roommate. These are her stats. Lycone is Memories of the Past at S4. I previously had this on my Harmony Trailblazer because I wanted him to have as much break effect as possible along with the energy regeneration, which is also nice, but thanks to Fugue's ability to put skill on him, he gets some of that break effect back as well as being able to generate even more energy just due to him being able to ignore weakness types for weakness breaking. So good decision overall in my opinion. These are our traces pretty much maxed out. I could have put a little bit more into the defense nodes to guarantee that Rome is a little bit tankier. The basic attack is pretty pointless. These are her relics. Eidolon, she's at Eidolon 0. Okay guys, well that's gonna be it for this Honkai Star Rail video. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you guys in my next Honkai Star Rail video. Take care, and peace.
Existence as fleeting as the dawn's dew, destined for oblivion. I weep for the departed.